Yes, Senator, please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay.
You'll be presenting on SB 639.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I want to thank the committee very much for working with us on their analysis, and I accept the technical amendment on page 10. SB 639 ensures that workers with disabilities cannot be paid less than minimum wage. Since the 1930s, the state has been able to pay workers with disabilities less than minimum wage through the issuance of 14C certificates under the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act. So even as California prides itself in leading the country with our minimum wage and worker protections, thousands of Californians with disabilities are still working in segregated settings, often for less than $2 an hour. SB 639 prohibits the issuance of new 14C certificates by January 1st, 2022, and develops a phase-out plan for current employers to ensure a path to competitive integrated employment. By 2025, this bill will end the practice of segregated sub-minimum wage employment entirely. This practice is an archaic relic of the 1930s and dates back to a time when children with disabilities were denied an education and before civil rights legislation such as the Americans with Disabilities Act recognized the full humanity of persons with disabilities. If enacted, California will join the states of Alaska, Connecticut, Maryland, New Hampshire, New York, Rhode Island, Texas, and Washington in prohibiting sub-minimum wage employment or sheltered workshops. I also want to add that the legislature is investing heavily in programs that will support the successful transition of individuals moving out of sheltered workshops. We are providing, for example, an additional $61 million for regional center service coordinators who will be assisting individuals moving out of sheltered workshops. We are also investing in competitive integrated employment by initiatives such as doubling the incentive payments to service providers for placing an individual into competitive integrated employment if the individual maintains employment for specified milestones. We want every person coming out of a sheltered workshop to have a meaningful day and a meaningful experiences, and this budget invests heavily to make that happen. I have two witnesses joining me today, Erin Carruthers, Executive Director of the State Council on Developmental Disabilities, who will be testifying in person, and Ken Barnes, President and CEO of Options for All. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Durazo. Your first witness can go ahead and begin.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the hard work of your committee, and hello to my own assemblyman, Chris Ward. My name is Ken Barnes, and I'm the President and CEO of Options for All. We're a San Diego-based service provider with offices in the Inland Empire and Silicon Valley, and we provide support services for over 1,300 individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We support SB 639 because we know it's possible to transition neurodiverse persons from sub-minimum wage to market rate jobs. And while some family members see these jobs as valuable opportunities for training and social engagement, what I discovered after becoming CEO last year is that these 14C certificates are often tools for employers to legally exploit the labor of persons with disabilities. So I banned 14C certificates in support of them. Finding competitive integrated employment is not easy, but since we banned 14C supports, we've been able to place over 150 people into market rate jobs, and that's during a pandemic. How? Instead of begging employers to hire people with disabilities, we tell potential employers about the benefits of having a phenomenal employee, and the response has been excellent. Opponents of SB 639 often cite the high unemployment rate of those with disabilities as a reason to maintain 14C certificates. However, even with the abomination of sub-minimum wage payments, falling below $2 an hour in some cases, unemployment rates continue to be stratospheric. This means the issue is acceptance and inclusivity and not one driven by economics. In closing, I'll say this. My area of study in college was human rights, and that's why I get a little emotional about this. And a fellow student once asked our professor how to define a human rights violation. And he says, I know it when I see it. And last year, when I learned it was legal in the state of California to pay people as little as $3 or $4 an hour, I knew instantly it was a human rights violation. I hope you see it that way as well. And I ask for your vote of yes on SB 639. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Aaron Carruthers. I'm the Executive Director of the State Council on Developmental Disabilities. We are an independent state entity that is here to be a guiding force for positive, lasting changes in the lives of people with developmental disabilities and their families, which is why we're one of the co-sponsors of this legislation. 1/3 of our council members were actually put into sub-minimum wage sheltered workshops, and they all quit. One in particular said that she was put in there, and when she found out what it was about, she left and she went to a cooking class, which was really what her passion was. Another one said that she reports abuses that she experienced in them, not being able to use the restroom. In the end, she just said, it's not worth it for the money they're giving me. And then a third actually staged a labor walkout to try to get better rates, get better wages. This legislation will do what these advocates were not able to do on their own, which is to stop an unfair exploitative practice. This committee, is the champion of the Lanterman Act, and we're grateful for that. At its core, the Lanterman Act is a civil rights blueprint. It's for a civil rights movement. In all compassion, at one point in our history, sheltered workshops, sub-minimum wage, that was seen as the best, most progressive thing that you could do for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. But times have changed, and our views have changed, and actually the options available to people have changed. Our council is so deeply grateful for how much concern has been placed on what happens to each individual once sheltered workshops are closed. I want to point out that for the last 5 years, the legislature's laid that groundwork. You've invested $15 million a year for providers to adapt, modernize to current times. Additionally, the senator just pointed out additional investments the legislature is doing so that people will be able to make this transition. So this is the right policy at the right time with the right supports to create success for people who deserve better. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carruthers. At this time, do we have any additional support in the hearing room?
Kimberly Rosenberger with Service Employees International Union California and strong support.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any additional public support in the remote testimony room? No? Okay. Do we have, operator, do we have any additional public support on the phone line?
For comments in support of SB 639, please press 1 then 0. That command again, 1 then 0. And so far we have approximately 40 people queued up to give public comment. Line 120, your mic is open.
Hello, my name is Penny Lonford from San Diego County, and I support SB 639.
Thank you.
Line 147. Line 147. Line 152.
Hello, my name is Mina Donkor. I am here with 6 other individuals.
Hi, I'm Gina, and I'm a person with disability, and I oppose SB 639. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jerry. I'm a person with disability, and I oppose SB 639.
Hi, my name is Andrea. I'm a person with disabilities. I oppose to SBC 69.
Hi, my name is Jason. I am a person with disabilities, and I oppose SB 639.
Hi, my name is Freddie. I'm a person with disabilities, and I am opposed to SB 639.
Okay.
Thank you, operator. Let's
And
go to the
line-
next call.
Line 161. Line 100.
Yeah. Hello. Hi, my name is Ricardo Castillo, and I have disability. I oppose
Thank you.
639.
Thank you, sir. Operator, this is for public testimony and support.
We have public testimony in support of SB 639. And line 124.
Hi, my name is Lotte Rouse, and I work at MCI. And in front of me, we have about 30 individuals with disability, and they will take turns.
Hello, my name is James. I'm a person with disabilities, and I oppose SB 639.
My name is Amy. I'm a person with a disability. I oppose SB 639.
Hi, my name is Allison. I'm a person with disabilities. I oppose SB 639.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Martha. I work with individuals with disabilities. I oppose SB 639.
Your name is Pensari Gama. I am person with disability. I am opposed SB 639.
My name is Monica Cook. I am a person with a disability. I oppose SB 639.
My name is Donald Campbell. I'm a person with disability. I oppose SB 639.
And my name is Rosaria SB 639.
Let's see. My name is Terry. I'm a person with a disability. Opposed, B39. Yeah.
My name is Kerry Smith. I work with people with disabilities, and I oppose SB 639.
My name is Patrick Hudson. I'm a person with disability. I oppose SB 639.
Mine's Richard. I oppose SB 639.
My name is Molly Rivers, and I oppose person with disability. I oppose SB 639.
I am a person with a disability. I oppose SB 369.
What's your name?
Troy.
I'm Lloyd Butler. My name is Lloyd. I am a person with disability. I oppose SB 639.
My name is Kayla Walker. I support people with disabilities. I oppose SB 639. I'm Danielle Skipper. I support individuals with disabilities, and I oppose SB 639.
Hi, my name is Shannon Fortner. I'm a parent of a person with a disability, and I oppose SB 639.
And my name is Elizabeth. 639.
My name is Courtney Olson. I work with people with disabilities, and I oppose SB 639.
My name is Violet, and I work with people with disabilities, and I oppose SB 639.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, operator. Is there anybody else on the in the queue?
Hi.
Support?
We currently have approximately 45 people who have queued up. Supposed to be for support, but I think some of them mistakenly queued up for opposition.
Okay. Okay, go ahead and open the line. Again, this is, please state your name, affiliation, and position.
Line 127.
Thank you, Chair and members. Mitch Steiger with the California Labor Federation in support.
Line 135.
Jacob, yes, no book, skin from Santa in support of SB 369.
Line 122.
Hi, this is Kidada Medina of Sacramento County. I'm a parent of a child with a disability in support of Senate Bill 639. Thank you.
Line 159.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. Gregory Kramer on behalf of Disability Rights California. We're proud to co-sponsor Senate Bill 639. Thank you.
Thank you.
Line 138.
Hi, my name is Kylie. I work with people with disabilities, including my family member, and I oppose SB 639.
Line 163.
Hi, my name is Dana Wilkinson. I work with people with disabilities, and I oppose SB 639.
Line 204. Line 204, your mic is open. Line 187. Line 187, your mic is open. Line 156. Line 156, your mic is open. I apologize, Madam Chair. One moment, please.
Thank you.
Line 187, please go ahead. And 211.
Good afternoon, Rebecca Gonzalez, National Association of Social Workers California chapter in support.
Line 156. And 156, please go ahead.
Hi,
Line
my name
200.
is Christina.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Christina Perez, and I support people with disabilities, and I oppose SB 639.
Line 227.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair members. Teresa Anderson with the ARC California. We appreciate the author and sponsor working with us and have moved from support them into support.
Line 103.
Really? Hi, I'm Fernando Gomez with the Integrated Community Collaborative. I'm also a father of a young man in the workforce in strong support of SB 639.
Line 180.
Good afternoon. This is Erin Evans on behalf of the SELPA Administrators of California in support. Thank you.
Line 198. Line 198.
Is that my number? I don't remember.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
My name is Gina Erickson. I support the bill SB 169. I used to work in a workshop day program, and I didn't like it, and I'm glad that you guys are ending this. It's really important that we get everybody out in the workforce.
Thank you.
Line 153.
Hi, my name is Saad Bizonio. I am a provider that provides competitive integrated employment for people with disabilities, and we are in strong support for SB 639.
Thank you.
Line 64.
So in other words, exactly, you never got it. Yeah,
Line 64.
so that's what I'm afraid of.
Line 216.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Hello, my name is Rachel Langston, and I'm with Legal Aid at Work. We are proud co-sponsors of SB 639. We believe this is a civil rights and a human rights issue, and are honored to be a part of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Line 209.
Hi, my name is Mali, and I support SB 639. Thank you.
Line 90.
Hello, my name is Carol Shelton. I am the parent of an adult with an intellectual and developmental disability. I support SB 639. I'm asking for your aye vote on behalf of my son and others like him. Thank you.
Line 149.
Hello, my name is Donna Henshaw. I'm the parent of a child with disabilities, and I strongly support SB 639. Thank you.
Line 134.
Hi, this is Jennifer Sage from San Diego, and I'm the parent of a child with disabilities, and I strongly support SB 639. Thank you.
Line 148.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Fabiola Cruz. I'm a mom of a child with disability needs, and I strongly support SB 639. I'm also from the organization ICC. Thank you.
Line 224. Line 224. Your mic is open. Line 118.
Hello, I'm with another person, so they're going to speak. My name is Philip. I am from Woodland Hills, California, and a chair or co-chair of the self-determination program. And I strongly support competitive wages. And with that, I support SB 639. Go ahead.
And hello, my name is Ken Curry. I'm a caseworker with Etta Israel Center in Los Angeles, working with disabled individuals. And I also am in very, very strong support of SB 639. Thank you.
Line 176. Line 176, your mic is open. Line 160. Line 160. Line 141.
Hi, good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. My name is Len Dip, and I support SB 639. Thank you. Have a good day.
Line 194. Line 194.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Gomez. I'm the director of the Integrated Community Collaborative, otherwise known as the ICC in the community. I'm also the mother of a
a person with a disability, and I am in strong support of SB 639, and I can attest to the importance of this for the Latino community as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Line 214.
Hi, this is Ubaldo with the Democratic Socialists of America, Coachella Valley, and I am in strong support of SB 639. Thank you.
Thank you.
Line 96.
Good afternoon. My name is Catherine Sanders, and on behalf of the California Chapter Association of People Supporting Employment First, we are in strong support of SB 639. Thank you.
Thank you.
Line 137. Line 137. Line 143.
My name is Hugo, and I support SB 639, and I do have a disability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Line 133.
Hello, my name is Joseph Macari. I'm the Executive Director for Integrated Resources Institute based in Orange County, Los Angeles. I've been a direct service provider for 5 decades, and I'm also a parent. From a civil rights perspective, when you look at sub-minimum wage and the synonyms associated with that, sub is under, beneath, below, lower, and then minimum is least, small, less, tiniest. So we are in strong support of SB 639 to abolish sub-minimum wage.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Line 191.
Hi, my name is Aubin Stamer, and I strongly support SB 639. Thanks.
Thank you.
Line 147.
Hi, my name is Khalid Rashid. I'm a community organizing advocate out of Disability Resources Agency for Independent Living. And we help consumers in 6 different counties, and we are in strong support of SB 639. Thank you.
Thank you.
Line 207.
Yes, hi. Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Oh, hi. This is Maureen McFadden. I'm in Santa Barbara, California, and I emphatically support the State Bill 639. It is a human rights violation to pay anyone less than the minimum wage. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Line 82. Line 82.
Hi, my name is Christian Rodriguez. I work at Commercial Support Services. I am a direct service provider. I support individuals with disabilities, and I strongly oppose SB 639. We have many more that would like to speak as well.
Hi, my name is George James, and I work for Commercial Support Services in Antioch, and I strongly oppose 639.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Rossler. I work with people with disabilities. I oppose SB 639. I also have a letter from a parent who works at CSS Antioch and strongly opposes SB 639.
Thank you.
We have more.
I oppose.
And line 168.
Yes, my name is Blake Oleg. I'm a direct support service worker, and I do believe that this is a civil rights issue, which is why I'm strongly opposed to SB 639.
Thank you,
because
sir.
to think that it's about sub-minimum
Line 60.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Salami. My son's name is Jacob Durand. We oppose this bill. It's insane.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for calling in.
Line 139.
Daniel Savino, Association of Regional Center Agencies. We're actually in the tweener spot. We've submitted comments on this in amendment request. ARCA and the regional centers are deeply committed to seeing that if this bill is passed, that it's successfully implemented to transition individuals from sub-minimum wage to competitive integrated employment. Our amendments, we hope, speak to the importance of building on that.
Are you opposed or do you support, sir?
I am sorry, we have lost that caller. Line 270.
Hi, my name is Leon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Leona Hartman Patterson. I'm calling on behalf of my brother who is developmentally disabled, and we are strongly opposed to SB 639.
Thank you.
Line 284.
Hi, my name is Karina Limon. I work for Commercial Support Services in Concord. I am a parent, a sister, and a direct staff for people with developmental disabilities, and I oppose SB 639.
Thank you.
Line 105. Line 105. Line 287.
Kim Stone, Stone Advocacy, on behalf of Options for All, in support.
Thank you.
Line 286.
Good afternoon. My name is Miles Border with Options for All, in strong support of SB 639. Thank you.
Thank you.
Line 292.
Hello, my name is Marta Alvarado. I'm a parent of an adult with autism, and I strongly support the SB 639. Thank you.
Thank you.
Line 297.
Hey a minute. Hello? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, I hear some background noise on the other end. Anyway, my name is Rick Hodgkins. I'm with Capital People First. I'm also a disability rights and left-wing extremist. I support this bill. We may be slow, but we're not stupid. Thank you very
sir.
much.
Thank you.
Line 295.
Hi, my name is Dr. Larry Yin, and it's time to pass S639. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Line 289.
Good afternoon. My name is Rosie Sigala. I'm a director of the nonprofit ABC and Grow. I also work with ICC, and I'm a mother of a child with autism. I believe paying cents to the dollar is disgraceful and a civil rights violation. Therefore, I have a strong support for SB 639 to end the sub-minimum wage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Line 146. Line 146.
Hello?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh, hi. I'm Yolanda Padilla, my son. I am a mother of a young man who's autistic, and I support SB 639. He deserves to make equal wages as everybody else. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Line 313. Line 313. One moment, please. Just be one moment for our next comment, please. And it looks like there are no more comments at this time.
Thank you,
Hi, Joe.
operator.
This is Kat. Oh,
go ahead.
Hi, this is Kathy with CWDA. I don't personally have an issue. Is it something that if we choose to ask one of our team members, for example, like Michelle as well, we're both executive directors, we may ask someone else on our team to participate going forward, either sometimes with us or instead of us? Would they also be able to view this to hear some of the conversation, or would that just be for your internal team?
So, ma'am, this is the support or opposition public testimony portion for SB 639. So, operator, I think that maybe that was a caller that was placed in the queue accidentally, the wrong queue.
It was a witness for a different bill, I think.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so I think that we have heard all the public testimony in support and opposition, and we just need to hear from the primary opposition witnesses. So at this time,
Sorry, bad allergies.
Mr. London, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members. My name is Carl London. I'm here on behalf of the Alliance supporting people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We are a statewide organization of community-based nonprofits that serve this population throughout California and provide a range of services. I do want to clear up a couple things about this legislation. First of all, this was said a couple times that it applies only to sheltered workshops or work activity programs. It does not. There are people throughout community integrated programs today that choose to take advantage of sub-minimum wage programs or 14C certificates and gain work experience in the community. My son is one of those members. I'll talk a little bit more about that. The other thing is that if you look at this bill does not get people with disabilities who currently make sub-minimum wage, minimum wage. It simply says nobody can be paid less than minimum wage anymore, and gets rid of the opportunity to use a federal law, which is legal and exists today, and allows sub-minimum wage to be used. The only way a person gets to a sub-minimum wage position in California, just to be clear about this, is if a program registers, follows all of the federal guidelines, and obtains a 14C certificate. Second, the person who like my son, who chooses to do this, has to elect that choice through the individualized program plan process that is done by the regional center in the catchment area in which they live. In other words, they have to designate and say, this is what I choose to do. The last thing I'd say here, and I want to talk about my, my son's personal experience. Like Mr. Barnes says, I get emotional about this sometimes, but he's a guy who's functionally blind, has brain damage from birth, and cannot function, at least thus far, at a rate that would allow him to compete in the regular workforce, just as was imagined in the federal legislation. Now, he got a job a while ago at Best Buy. He was restocking shelves. He was taking everything that's returned to the store and taking it back and putting it on the floor to be repurchased. It's not an exciting job. It's not what I would choose to do. And because of his productivity rate, which under the federal law is required to be remeasured every 6 months, he was rated at about 25% productivity. Working with a job coach, he was doing his job. He loved it. He was talking to staff of Best Buy. He was talking to people in the public every day. And I looked at him and I thought he was crazy. This would not be a choice that I would make. But the fundamental principle of the state's Lanterman Act, which is our esteemed guidance on this in law that no other state really has, allows the person with the disability to make the choice of what suits them. This bill proposes to get right in the way of that and conflict with that. And let's be clear about what this bill says. It does not get these people minimum wage. What it says is, let's have a plan conducted by the department to maybe see how we might get at this. We have no objection to having that discussion. What we object to is putting a termination date in place at the same time without having that plan, without having a funding commitment that will impact 12,000 people and put them out of their jobs of their choice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. London. Okay, we have one more witness in opposition. We have Crystal Harriman and her mom, Marge Schurz.
Ms. Caldron, Chairman, thank you for allowing us to speak. My name is Margaret Schurz, and this is my daughter, Crystal Harriman. Can you tell them how you like the Roland Center and what it means to you?
I like it here and my friends and my family.
Today I would like to talk to you about the Senate Bill number 639, the Fair Standards Act. When Roosevelt signed this act into law in 1939, his intent was for this landmark law to be designed to protect the rights of disabled workers. by eliminating the special wage certificate, the 14C, which allows the employees to receive less. This very special labor code that benefits my daughter and others like her, about 12,000 approximately in California alone. This allows her to work at her own pace without the anxiety and stress other jobs provide. She has tried all the other jobs. She's been in other programs. I would like to share that these programs are highly regulated by the California Department of Industrial Relations and the Department of Labor. The center is required to do frequent studies and report these studies that they studied on the kids and their, I should say, participants and their work. Integrated employee is ideal for those who could do it. But what about the ones who cannot? What about the different levels of the program? There are so many levels to Crystal's program. She can make her own choices and choose to move up and move out if she chooses to. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous.
That's okay.
There's one-to-one support, there's community supports, there's supported employment with coaches, and there's even paid internship, all within her center. Finally, what makes these centers essential is the support they provide the workers, aiding in medical issues such as seizures, which happen daily, and behaviors, meltdowns, which also could happen daily. Those can't be in a normal work site, a workplace. What about protection against inappropriate sexual advances? You heard how my daughter spoke to you. How is she supposed to get her point across that she's being influenced one way or another at the work site when there's no one there to guide her? In high school, Crystal was involved in a workability program. She was trained, and she was also certificate in working proper procedures at many employers such as Petmark, Dollar Tree, Ross's, and buffet type of restaurants. Every employer that she had told her they could not hire her because of her limited speech. They would take her on with a one-on-one, but then where's the law about least restriction? It means my daughter would have to go to work with someone to speak with her every day. That's not least restrictive. Okay, they told her they couldn't hire her because of her speech and they wanted an interpreter for her. Second, they said her productivity was slower than most. She was always being pressured, which was causing a great deal of anxiety and stress. At the time, she didn't want to go to work. She would cry and tell me that she would want to stay home. 6 years ago, we found the Roland Center. She's been there ever since, missing only days when she's forced to for doctors or what have you. This center might be known as a sheltered center, and it is paying less than minimum wage. To Crystal and many like her, it is so much more. It is their life. Like I said, now she never misses a day of work. She never comes home crying or anxious or depressed. She gets her things ready at night, makes her lunch, eager for the next day. She comes home with a smile larger than the Grand Canyon when she has that check. Crystal does not understand the value of money, but she does understand what that check means.
Thank you so much.
And we go out into the community and we spend that check, and she certainly knows how to spend her money that she has earned. As a parent, I cannot express how much this warms my heart. When Crystal was born, the doctors told me she must be institutionalized. That is the best place for her. That is not the best place for her. She's working in our community. It might be a sheltered community. It might be paying a little bit less, but it's her community. It is her job that she wakes up for every morning. Today, I ask you to consider the civil rights not only of my daughter, but the other 12,000 other participants who are in workshops like her. To allow them to continue to work and thrive in a place that meets the needs and allows them to be a productive member of our society. If you take this away, I assure you the impact would be very much like the COVID quarantine. Depression set in quick. She didn't want to leave her room. She was sad all the time, and she put on a lot of weight.
Thank you so much for coming to testify, Crystal and Mrs. Schurz. We really appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any questions from the members? Mr. Ward?
Thank you, and I want to thank Senator Durazo for authoring this bill. Really alarming that this has been going on really right under us. I know we talked a little bit about in the Labor and Employment Committee, but I do, in the seat of my heart, really believe that this is a moral obligation that we correct. We talk about work and what the value of work is, and regardless if somebody has a intellectual disability, a challenge, or not, people deserve to be paid a fair wage. And for those, it just really sits wrongly with me that, you know, we hear the voices that people are going to fear that they're going to lose their job because we are trying to get them up to a standard that we want to see for all Californians. And we pit those individuals who are already probably stressed with a lot of things in their lives with the notion or the fear that something like this, which is meant to be able to provide them additional income, additional support, to be able to take that out into the community, that somehow they're going to lose something from that. That argument doesn't sit well with me on several levels. And I hope that this is the kind of work also that catalyzes some interest at the federal level to be able to revisit this as well. I see other states are starting to go in this direction. I think that that's important. You know, I know that you are setting a clock today, or that if this passes and becomes law, that we need to get this right within 3 years. I know that that's aggressive, but attainable. And so we should be heading down this path. We should make sure, because the work has to get done, whether you are stocking shelves, somebody is going to have to be able to do that work, and they ought to be able to be paid a fair wage, at least a minimum wage. And so over the course of the next 3 years, I imagine we would be continuing to monitor this very closely to make sure that the protections are there so that individuals who are fearful that their employer might be using this opportunity against them, that we are there to stand up for them too, that they are not going to lose their job. I think we need to stay close on this issue and continue to monitor it so that there are no adverse impacts, but that we're meeting the important goals that we seek for all Californians. So thank you for doing this bill. I'm happy to make a motion to support the bill, and we'll be voting for it today.
Thank you. Asm Human, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And Senator Durazo, I understand your intent of the bill for the people with the disabilities to get paid the equal amount, at least the minimum amount. Even though your intent is understandable, but I'm afraid it's not only jeopardizing, maybe we can come up with certain measures for those who are already employed, their current job may be protected, but what about future employment opportunities for those who with the disabilities, because employers, when they hire with the kind mind to help them and for them to stand on their feet, and social reasons, even though could be substandard pay. I had an experience myself at the city of Irvine. We hired quite a few people with disabilities, but I noticed that we had to provide a full-time staff to supervise them every move, every direction they go. So it does cost extra money to supervise them. because depending upon the severity of their disability, some may need direct supervision, some may not, so etc. So for the future, potential employers who would have thought about giving the opportunities for those kind of people with disabilities, but if we start demanding you got to pay equal pay, then what incentive? Why should I cost more when I can hire somebody with no disabilities and who can produce expected standard work quality? So even though intent is helping them with the more pay, but for the long run, this may be disservice to them because such a job opportunity may be diminished. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm saddened that the only way somebody could get at least the minimum wage or can't get minimum wage is because of their disability. I'm saddened by that. I think that we as a society need to change our attitudes towards those who are different. They have different potential. They have different skills. They are a different human being, just like you and me. We don't have the same skills. We don't have the same life experiences, but we expect to be treated in some fundamental ways the same. And so what I'm trying to do here is say that all these individuals, we need to give them the opportunity and break down these attitudinal barriers that we face, that they face. I'm saddened to hear of the young woman and all the pressure and the stress and the attitudes against her in her workplace. But the way to deal with that is not by paying them less. The way to deal with that is by making sure that the respect for our civil rights that our civil rights are respected. That's the way to deal with that. So I don't think that we should measure a person and say, well, they're disabled, so therefore they don't deserve even the minimum wage. That's not correct. That's not right. And I think we as a state stand for lifting everyone up. And we are putting the resources on the practical side. We are putting tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars into the resources, both for employers and for all the services that our sisters and brothers who are disabled need and deserve. So I just don't think this is about treating people on the issue of a job, that they should get paid just like everybody else.
Yeah, I hear you. You are approaching from the human emotional, human sympathy aspect. However, not all the business people will look at that way, because they will look at combination of that aspects that you are describing, but at the same time from standpoint of his business. You heard many parents and individuals with disabilities. They are the direct voice. They do not agree with your support and they opposed. So I tried to tally, but I lost track of that, roughly half and half or maybe a little less. So quite a few individuals with disabilities don't agree with you. So this is not a moral issue, emotional issue. Yes, they deserve more if we can, but the reality you are talking about, the practical side, the practical business world would not see it as you see. Thank you, that's my statement.
Assemblywoman Davies.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I could, I have a question for the witness, Mr. London. Thank you. Mr. Lemon, I have a question. If the subminimum wage is banned in California for people with IDD, even though it's still allowed at the federal level, what do you think will happen with most of the people working in such programs today? I hear a lot of opposition, and I completely understand the intentions, the good intentions. My concern that it could do more harm than good, and I'm trying to get a better idea of what will happen. Thank you.
I mean, thank you, Madam Chair. So in watching what's been happening, the pressure on some of these situations to close and go out of business has been pretty great. So we're seeing less and less of these opportunities around the state of California these days. But there are still, we believe, around 12,000 people who still today take advantage of this opportunity. And what we're seeing is when they leave the workforce, they typically aren't finding a minimum wage or higher job unless that's their goal, and they get into that and they move. And some people do transition successfully that way. Not many, because many times we're talking about people at the lower end of the productivity scale. And those people typically end up in a day program, which costs the state of California, oddly enough, about 3 times as much money in terms of the payments of what the state pays rate-wise than they do to a work activity program. The comparison is about $85 to $30 a day per person. So if you did the literal math and said, you know, all 12,000 people went into a day program, instead of working, you'd be talking about $156 million. Our concern on this overall is that we love the idea of everybody moving to minimum wage, and this bill creates a process to have that conversation, but it has that sledgehammer termination date in it without having a successful program identified. We would rather see them come back to you with an outline of a program, tell you how they're going to fund it, and then you decide up or down whether that makes sense to you as a program before you kill off these jobs. So that's a longer answer. Most people, if they don't have an opportunity, we don't subsidize or we don't do something different, they're going to move into some other program like a day program. It will not be employment, almost certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
if I may,
or stay home. That's the other alternative. They just stay home. That's correct, too.
if I may, I have a question through the chair for the senator.
Yes.
Thank you. I think that's, Senator, that's my question is in regards to funding, because if you have a business and you want to bring in these employees, but they're giving about 25% productivity, obviously you need to employ more to be able to get what you need done. Where is the funding for the business owner to compensate with the fact that they're going to need to bring in more employees to, you know, to reach the productivity that they need?
Well, just this legislature alone is already investing and adding to the amount of money to make a successful transition of individuals moving out of these sheltered workshops. As I said earlier, there's an additional $61 million for regional center service coordinators who are going to assist individuals moving out of the workshops. We're investing in these competitive integrated employment, doubling the incentive payments to service providers. I mean, those are just 2 examples of the state level, and there's also federal funds available. So the funding is there. The question is, how will it be used? And I absolutely have enormous respect and admiration for all the men and women who called in, who are disabled, have a disability. And as you heard, there are those who say they support, and there are those who say they don't support. I hope that, you know, this is not, they shouldn't be facing this fear that an employer is going to discriminate against them. That should not exist. We should not allow that to happen in California, that somebody doesn't get hired because they're being discriminated against. That's what all of our civil rights laws have been about, that somebody doesn't get discriminated against because of who they are. And that's what we ought to make sure happens as they get integrated into different workplaces.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment. Completely understand that. I think my concern is that we have the funding, but it hasn't been designated. And unfortunately, we've watched this before where we have the funding, but it's not going where the funding is, and we put the cart before the horse. Whereas I'd like to see where the funding's going, where it's there in writing saying this is what's going to the business, this is what's going here, so that I know that when I vote on something like this, I know that they're going to be able to actually handle this bill, and it's going to be a productive bill, and it's going to benefit everyone. And so that's my concern right now, is just because we have the money, and unfortunately we've seen in the past, doesn't mean it's going to go where it needs to go. So I do appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other members have questions? Or, okay, Assemblyman Villapuda, then Assemblyman Stone.
To the chair, I concur with you, Senator, that we must and we have to treat everyone, I concur, fair. But the concern that I have with this bill, and I hope you can answer this, will it have a negative consequences on individuals that are literally trying to do the best for them? Do you have any concerns with that?
Well, I wouldn't be doing this bill if it was going to leave people, thousands of people, overnight without jobs. That's not what this is about. And this is, but I'd like maybe one or two of my witnesses who have the day-to-day experience with that, who could answer that question. Maybe Mr. Carruthers?
Yes.
Thank you, Senator. Assemblymember Aaron Carruthers from the State Council on Developmental Disabilities. We share that same concern. There's an interesting connection made of, will people in this program move into employment? I think that may be an unfair parallel. The question really is, will people in this program, and I'm not going to call anything that pays somebody $2 an hour a job. I'm not going to do that. But people in this program, what they're going to get is constructed a meaningful day. And what's meaningful to them is going to be individual and specific to each person. So it may be employment, it may be competitive integrated employment, or maybe other programs that are offered through the regional center. So the goal, I think, is not job to job, or this program, sub-minimum wage to another job. It's from this program into a meaningful day for them.
So let me, if you don't mind me asking another question, is so the 14C code that other folks were talking about, that's going to get eliminated, okay? I mean, will they still be able to pick where they want to go, where they want to work? I mean, you know, there's a lot of businesses that are for profit that can probably absorb this. But there's a lot of nonprofits too that will make a decision and saying, you know, maybe we have to cut back. And I just don't want to lose jobs. You know, I mean, I'm an uncle that has family that my nephew is disabled. I have staff that is working in our district to get folks that should be disabled go through disability. And I'm constantly fighting that. You know, it is a tough fight. You know, but I don't want to go through where we are going to lose jobs. You know, that individuals are going to be able to pick and choose. I concur with the Senate that this has to be fair. But I don't want to go a year down the line and saying 12,000 jobs that now we're down to 9,000 jobs. And then one more question that I have. You guys mentioned that other states are doing this. You know, I'd like to hear, and how is that coming out for those states? You know, I mean, anyone from the other side, will, if they can also answer that.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear from both sides, because what I heard today was a lot of people against this, and I'm shocked. I'm bothered about that.
Thank you, sir, for your compassion, your investment in the issue, and your investment, and really an act of love for people to have meaningful, important lives. Regarding other states, part of the statute, the bill that's being proposed, says look at those lessons from those other states and make sure we know what those are. Now, regarding the employment, what we've seen, and I'll see the microphone to Kin here, is that some have actually transitioned into other employment. So people in the Sacramento area are familiar with Pride Industries, well known in this area, and they decided to stop doing 14Cs, and they moved into employment. And from my understanding, no one was laid off, but people are now being paid minimum wage, people with developmental disabilities. So the state invests in entities in these programs to make that transition. There's a $15 million pot that's been available for every year for the past 5 years and will be available next year, where these programs can come forward and bid for money from the state to say, how can I change, how can I modernize? But Ken behind me can speak more directly because he is a provider who made that transition.
Thank you. So one of the specific questions that you asked were in particular about like nonprofits versus for-profit entities. I'll give you a couple of specific examples. So sometimes people will talk about like our partnership with the San Diego Zoo. Obviously that's a large entity. Well, more of our partnerships are like Alvarado Pharmacy. It's literally 2 people working there, and they've hired persons from our population. A very recent example, San Diego Pride, which is a nonprofit who have had a terrible fiscal year because of the pandemic, they recently hired 3 people from our program to perform some work for them as they get ready for their Pride Festival in July. I use this example because whether it's a nonprofit like myself, or like San Diego Pride, or a large for-profit like the San Diego Zoo, or a small mom and pop business like a pharmacy, it still comes down to a choice of, hey, do you want to allow us to come in, support you, to support others? And that's what we do. So it's really just about those supports putting that around, and you can train businesses and train their managers and their employees to work with the population that we support. Did that answer your question, or?
Yeah, and if you could elaborate, how are the other states doing?
So that is more of for Aaron Carruthers. I can just tell you what we do here across the state, and we operate not just in San Diego, but the Inland Empire and the Silicon Valley. So we're operating in very high cost areas as well as lower cost areas. And I got to be candid, we're not having pushback to people employing our folks. We just articulate to them why this is valuable to them. We never talk about it from a perspective of, would you please hire someone?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for speaking up. Sure. I mean, my concern is this, is that I don't want to have folks without a job. You know, it was mentioned here that, you know, there is funding, right? And there's going to be funding. The state always seems to lead, but I want to make sure that that funding is going into, not taken away. To me, it's not about the $15 or the raise. I think they should deserve it, but I just don't want them without a job. If they have a job, we got to make sure that we're protecting that job that they have, not taking away. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could take a crack at that, I want to give you just a couple pieces of factual information, and facts are stubborn things, right? This state, 7 years ago, when Assemblymember Chesbro was in your same seat, basically in the legislature, he passed a bill that committed the state of California to be called an employment-first state for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. That was 2013 and went into effect January 1st, 2014. Here we are 7 years later, and the employment rate of our population of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities is exactly the same. We sat and made in this state the top priority for all people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, employment first. That's the first thing we should do for them. And yet our employment rate is still at 14%, the same as it was 7 years ago, and 9 points below the national average. The national average for this population is 23%. California's at 14%. Now, and we have no discomfort with anything in this bill in terms of the process to come up with a great plan, but having the termination date sit out there as part of that without the plan is the problem. And so what you're suggesting, I think, is right. Protect the people who are in their jobs today, develop a great plan, and then when you get that plan, come back and tell us what it is and how you're going to fund it. And if you guys want to make the leap, then you should do it. But I have seen this movie for many years, and we are just not doing a great job, whatever money we put into this, of employing this population. This bill literally would knock in 3 years 12,000 people out of positions that they have chosen to be in today. There's no getting around that. And your choice then is they will either be given minimum wage to stay in that or another job somehow. There's nothing that specifies how that's going to work. You could subsidize it. The state could say, we're going to come forward with a pot of money and fill the gap between the person's 14C wage and the wage that the employer is going to pay him, which is minimum. We could do that. There have been 2 bills in the past that offered a tax credit to employers on that spread, which would make it easier for employers to swallow somebody who's at a lower productivity level. But we killed both of those bills because we don't want to lower the Prop 98 base in the state. So there are ideas and ways to get at this. We're totally open to being a part of that. I will tell you that I am pleased that Senator Durazo added some of the people who do 14C programs today to the bill in terms of the stakeholders who will participate in that process. Our organization is absolutely uncomfortable killing off those jobs until we have that plan. You could grandfather them in. That'd be another way to do it. Grandfather those people in today, Let them keep their job and move into something new if it develops. But those are just some ideas.
Are you good, Assemblyman? Okay, Assemblyman Stone?
Thank you. I think we hear the emotion on this issue really on both sides. And two, the way advocacy goes is sometimes we get folks who worked up about an issue, partial information, and I always find that to be sad and potentially abusive. And I've been talking to a number of people across the board on this issue, and I just wanted to make that statement that I think we have to be careful about the emotions. And for us, we need to step back and take a look at the bigger picture here. And what's being presented and talked about looks like zero sum, and it's not zero sum. There's a lot that can be done here. And for most of the people I've interacted with disabilities, that job, that ability to work, even at not an expected productivity level, which again is a potential path to a false choice, the pride they get for doing that work, the dignity they get for doing that work and that engagement is what is most significant. And if what we're going to say is the standard for someone with disabilities is the same as someone without disabilities, we end up with those false choices. So we have to come to an era, and some of these laws go back to, as had been stated, to FDR. And yes, Wesley Chesbrough did a law 7 years ago that didn't seem to move the needle on employment. So something has to change. And this is a good step and a good recognition of what that change really needs to be, and providing some additional dignity. Because I cannot believe that somebody who is doing work in an organization that is being paid sub-minimum wage, and remember, we're actually not talking about sub-minimum California wage, federal wage, which is still $7.50 an hour. So a lot of these folks performing these jobs are getting sub-minimum wage, well below what we've been talking about in this legislature. We want to get people a wage. And in any organization, there are different levels of productivity. So we can't be saying, because we don't value you, you're allowed to have sub-minimum wage. And that's ultimately what's going on here. But let's take a deep breath, take a step back. And I appreciate what you're doing. And I know, Senator, you're working with the chair and with this committee, because our primary responsibility in this area, I think, is to acknowledge the transition. We are where we are, given the history of federal laws and state laws and other attempts. Where we want to be, I think, is very clear. And I agree with you, and I laud your attempt here, because giving people dignity is the work, but is also recognition within our current structure of how we value the work. That's the minimum wage. And we have done that across the board. We have ratcheted that up appropriately, recognizing what it costs to live and to work in California. So what I'm hoping, and I know we don't have amendments here, but I've been talking to the committee, been talking to some of your supporters and your sponsors, a number of folks to try and understand this. And there's a potential, I know you're talking to them, and that's what I'm asking, is we have to be responsible to that transition. And I get worried when there are cliffs that get built in without an answer. We're still waiting. This committee, their bill done a number of years ago in the continuum of care reform, different subject, but still within the jurisdiction of this committee, getting the department to do gaps analysis. That was due by a certain day. We still don't have it. We're actually taking action on some of those gaps without the gaps analysis having been done. Fine, we are making progress, and I want to see us making progress here. So I think we have to move beyond what appears to be zero sum and ultimately false choices, and really set up success here in a way that gets everybody comfortable. I would rather see the plan before final action gets taken. So all I'm asking is that you're working with committee staff here, and I'm hoping this bill moves out, and that's fine, because we have other opportunities and approaches around the floor to get this right. Because if we don't set up that transition process in an appropriate way, it's hard to know what's going to happen. And I don't buy into the the fear about the cliff, because a lot of these jobs, I mean, 14% years ago, 14% now shows things really aren't working the way we would have intended. So let's make sure that people who are working get the benefit of that work at the wages we expect them to get. That's fair, that's equitable, that's just. But because we are transitioning from one step to the next, I'm just asking that you work with the committee and make sure that we understand what that transition is, and that we don't kind of perpetuate the current narrative of this sort of zero-sum environment, because it's really not that simple. Yes, it's complicated, but we need to make sure that we are cognizant of what that transition is, and that we're bringing everyone along to help manage these people who are valuable to us and to our community, the work that they do, the life experience that they get, and the benefit that they get from any various levels of employment or internships or any of these possibilities. So that's what I want to make sure. I'm supporting you today, absolutely, and I agree with what you're trying to do. I just want to make sure we're transitioning appropriately.
Okay. Thank you, Assemblyman. Assemblyman Bryan, did you have a question?
That's all right. Since I've been called, it's my first day in committee. I appreciate all of the testimony today. I have 4 siblings with special needs, including a little brother with cerebral palsy. And I think there are a lot of important values at stake in this bill. One of them is that we don't discriminate on immutable characteristics. We don't pay men less because women are more productive, right? We don't pay white folks less because people of color are more productive. We don't discriminate on immutable characteristics, and that's an important value to hold. I think my colleague also mentioned that we are talking about paying below the federal minimum wage, which is less than half of what we're talking about as the state minimum wage currently. It's about workers' rights, and that's critically important. What I appreciate about this bill, and I'd like to thank the author, is that it's about developing a plan. It's about sitting with stakeholders. It's about a multi-year phase out. It's about protecting the 12,000 folks in these jobs and doing it in a thoughtful and sincere way, but not at the expense of not setting a hard rule that by 2025 we've got to pay people fair. And so I would like to be a part of that planning, a part of thinking that through. I think this entire committee should be involved in that planning. I think all of the stakeholders in this room need to be a part of that planning, because we all want to make sure that the 12,000 people with these jobs keep these jobs, and that we expand these jobs, because if the rate hasn't changed in 7 years, that's an incredibly abysmal performance for the state. And it also means that paying people a sub-minimum wage like $2 an hour is still not enough incentive for employers to just do the right thing. And so we've got to do more as a state. And so I thank you for bringing this to the floor today, and you have my vote.
Thank you. Thank you, Assemblyman Bryan. It's come to my attention that we did have 2 witnesses that were here just to offer public comment. Just name, organization, support, or oppose.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to the members of the committee. Barry Giardini with the California Disability Services Association. Not in a formal position, but concerns around the timeline, alternatives, and funding. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Vanessa Bisak. I'm the executive director of the Roland Center where Crystal works, and I strongly oppose this bill.
Thank you. Thank you. Senator Durazo, I want to thank you for bringing this bill forward today. Eliminating a sub-minimum wage for employees with developmental disabilities is crucial to making sure that this population is not exploited in employment practices. And as my colleague mentioned, it is important to ensure that the transition to eliminating 14C licensings is well thought out and a good plan is implemented. And I know that the concerns of the IDD community is top of mind for you. I also appreciate your willingness to listen to our concerns and the concerns of the IDD community. I know your heart is in the right place. You called me last night because this is very important to you, and this community is important to you. And I also know that you'll be committed to addressing the concerns my colleagues mentioned about the bill and the development of the plan and accountability of its release in the Appropriations Committee should the bill pass out of the committee. So again, thank you so much, Senator Durazo. for your work on this bill, and I look forward to continuing to work with you on this. Senator, would you like to close now?
Well, I appreciate every single comment that was made, because I know that we all love and support and admire all of the sectors of our community, all of our families. I especially admire and respect the families of those who have disabled members. I don't know personally what that's like. I have extended family that are disabled. I know the difficulties, but I also know that there are many ways for them, and they do enjoy life, that it's not just a job. But if they have a job, they should be treated the same as everybody else. So thank you all. From the bottom of my heart, all of your constructive suggestions and criticisms, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Senator. It just came to my attention that there might be people on the lines that didn't get to do their support or opposition. Operator, is that true?
Well, presently we have no one in queue. If you want to, should we try it again?
No, I think we're good. Thank you so much, operator. And again,
You're welcome.
thank you, Senator. Mr. Frazier, did you want to make a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jim Frazier, the City of Fairfield. I'm not here as a representative of the 11th Assembly District, but I'm here as a proponent for the disabled population, the IDD population. I've been a volunteer at the Special Olympics for 16 years and toured the state all over in work programs and integrated work programs, and applaud Wesley Chesbrough for his wonderful legislation with the great intent, but it fell far short of the expectations, far short. Now, when you look at this opportunity, and I applaud the author for her humanity, absolutely, some of the members of the committee who have stated the same, this is about civil rights. It is to a point. And that point is that when that individual has the capability, now, they are going to determine if they have the capability also, if they can, to compete. One of the things that I'd like to also share with you is that when it's phased in this manner, and it's been mentioned that there are 12,000 people that will be affected by this, that the probability of a lot of them in the interim will go to the adult day programs at a cost of $85 a day. Now, if you times that by 12,000, that's $156 million a day impact to the state of California. Are we willing to do that? Now, as Mr. Stone had alluded to, yes, we should have a longer phase-in, because we don't know with this new budget financing if we can get the job coaches, if we can get the ability to move and uplift these individuals to this level of funding. That is the purpose, yes, and it always has been with 14C, to be able to uplift people. As has been mentioned, every 6 months they're assessed.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I appreciate what the Assembly member is saying. However, as he's speaking as a member of the public now, and we have closed public comment, I'm worried about how this works with this committee and other committees if we break so significantly from our process. There are other ways for legislators to weigh in on legislative business. No offense, because I value the work that you're doing, but I worry about the implications for our processes in committee work.
And I have addressed, sir, Mr. Stone, as a person of the city of Fairfield, as a resident, not as a legislator. And I've just said of my travels and my experience, yes.
But we have had public comment.
Thank
well,
you.
again, I hope that you can address Mr. Stone's longevity issue about making sure that this is a well thought out plan and move forward with capability and possibility.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Okay. Mr. Ward makes a motion. Mr. Bryan seconds.
The motion is due pass as amended to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Calderon?
Aye.
Calderon, aye. Davies?
No.
Davies, no. Arambula? Arambula, aye. Bryan? Bryan, aye. Choi? Choi not voting. Stone? Stone, aye. Villapadua? Villapadua, aye. Ward? Ward, aye.
The vote 6-1. Your measure passes.
Thank you,
you,
Madam Chair
Senator
and
Durazo,
members.
for your patience and hard work. Okay, do we have Senator Cortese? I think he was here. Here we are. Thank you, Senator Cortese, for your patience, and we're ready for you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Today I'm here to present SB 739, the Universal Basic Income Transition Age Foster Youth Act. Research tells us, excuse me?
I think you got a motion in a second. Move the bill. Go ahead and continue, sir.
Okay. Research tells us that foster youth face significant disadvantages in nearly every facet of life compared to their non-foster youth peers.